Welcome to Back Hustle, the podcast. I'm here with Carl Filippo, the my backer, he backs my hustle. In real estate, and he's backing my hustle today, being on the show. So I really appreciate that, man. To that point, how many? First family.
Yes.
Five companies, Remax, right?
Yeah, we have 5 real estate offices.
Yeah. First title, right?
We have a title company, we have a mortgage company, we have a property management. We have a couple investment companies and things like that. So, just Charlie, just trying to keep up with you, really. I know you have all the great ideas and everything, and all the different silos. So we're really just doing that and trying to add value to the customers and trying to be a more modern real estate office that provides kind of a one-stop shop type of deal, which more people are looking for. And listen, I appreciate you having me on today.
Yeah, no doubt. So to that point, I don't know. Plus, I mean, how many people do you? I mean, how many hustles do you back? I mean, you're going to be how many agents and how many do we have? I don't even know.
So we have over 300 agents. Wow, crazy. So between everything, all the businesses, staff, we're probably somewhere responsible for about 400 people.
That's crazy, right?
It's awesome.
That is awesome.
It's been a fun journey.
Yeah, I mean, you can't do 400 till you do 4, right? And you can't do, that's what everyone doesn't get.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
If you told me 10 years ago we'd be in the spot we are now, I wouldn't believe you.
Right.
But it's just been, one foot in front of the other kind of journey, and the journey's half the fun.
Well, that's what I'm trying to remember. You try to get so worked up about the goal, and then you're like, wait a minute, all the cool shit happens on the way to the goal.
Exactly.
So that is cool. So much accomplished in a year. It's kind of crazy. And when I met you, I was like, shit, I definitely didn't know I was going to go anywhere.
Right.
But I'm always open-minded. I got 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason, I'll listen to anything. And honestly, we're in this business for so long together, but I don't Google people before I met them. I didn't even know like anything about you really, other than seeing your name around and stuff.
Right.
And I just like to meet and say, wow, how do I feel about it? And I loved it. And after we talked about what you guys offer, it was just like a no-brainer. So thanks for having that meeting with me.
Thank you, man. We're proud to have you part of the organization in our Middletown office, which is growing rapidly.
Yeah.
We're just real passionate about helping agents and just providing an environment for them to grow their business to whatever level they desire.
Yeah. And it's funny, I was thinking about like how to explain like where I was at. It's great company, great people, but like if you're about to try to achieve or lift something massive, right? Like you got to look around and be like, am I with the people that are going to help me lift this? And
right.
if you look around and you don't think they can do it, or you're just in the wrong room, then you got to get out of that room, So,
right. I'm a huge believer in being around like-minded people.
Yeah.
That's what lifts you up. I know over the last 10, 15 years of my career, I've paid a lot of coaching programs where I've got myself involved with things when being in an atmosphere of people who are going to drive me.
Yep.
Right? I never want to be the smartest person in the room. I never look at what I've accomplished. I'm always thinking about like what we still haven't accomplished, which is sometimes one of my weaknesses. Because everyone's like, look at what you accomplished. And I'm thinking in my head, I haven't done anything yet. I've just showed up and gone to work every day.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I always say, like, nobody can beat me up like I can beat me up,
Right. So I'm my toughest critic. So I'm always wanting to just try to provide a better environment. And one thing I'm really proud about is that we have a very good retention rate.
Yeah.
So a lot of agents come, but we don't have a revolving door, because I wholeheartedly believe that you can scale your business to whatever level you desire, and that's up to you as the agent, and we're there to support it.
Yep. Yeah, because I mean, some people's definition of success could be like 12 transactions a year, and they,
right.
And they, I don't know, they sell coconuts on the beach in the summer or whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
right,
whatever.
right.
If that's your definition of success, and whatever.
Yeah, everyone's got different goals. Everyone's in different stages of their life. Yeah. Someone might be in a stage of their life where they can't dedicate full time to do real estate, or because of family or whatever the case might be, or they have a situation where their life changes and they can dedicate more time and they could take their business. So we're here just to sort of support that business and help grow it.
Yeah. But what's cool about Remax, obviously, we sell the most, everything like that, So you're around a bunch of people that even if they're scaling back or they're not doing like the top level stuff, they're still very good agents that are, dialed in, even though they're doing less deals than maybe the guy's doing 50 or whatever.
Well, that's what attracted me to the brand, because when I looked to purchase a real estate office, I really, really liked the Remax because, number one, all the branding everywhere you see with the public.
Yep.
2, it's home of the top producers, most productive agents, most transactions per agent. And that's just kind of the environment I wanted to be around. I'm pretty low drama. I feel like when you're surrounded by a lot of other people who are like-minded with the same goals, it takes a village to shift things.
Yeah.
So that's why I was attracted to the brand and been with it ever since.
Yeah. I've always loved the brand, the $1 billion balloon,
$1 billion
Red, white,
balloon.
and blue, the $1 billion balloon. How do you go wrong, So, and I left for a little while just because the market was crazy, but I'm definitely glad I came back the right time and everything else. So, so to that point, mindset and manifesting a lot of stuff, you definitely have to be around the right people. It truly is. But us being public, and you do a ton of video, I do a ton of video, and people probably like, who's this nutball? They think they know who I am. You know what I mean?
Right.
Meanwhile, if they sit on the couch next to me, I'm a lot different than that. Not that it's fake, but it's just like, you're on, you're doing what you're doing. So out of all the stuff you do, and everyone thinks they know me, people will tell my girlfriend, oh, I'm best friends with him. I'm like, that's cool. I don't want, or whatever.
Oh, I got to tell you, I have a friend that bought a house in Lincroft, and I guess he bought it through his wife's grandmother, and we were just going back and forth, and he's like, oh, he's like, Mr. Middletown works with you. I was like, yes, he does. Because, I love that guy. So it definitely works.
It's cool, right? I've had my cousin who lives in Tennessee be like, I ran into somebody at work. He works remote for Marvel. That's who actually did my guy.
Oh, nice.
And she's like, oh, yeah, I know Mr. I'm like, how random is that? So weird.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is cool. So to that point, though, everyone thinks they know us. We're very public. What's one thing that people don't know about you that you'd want people to know about you?
I actually think I'm really one of my best friends says I'm the biggest introvert extrovert there is. So a lot of times when I'm speaking on stage, I speak throughout the country and stuff, I do sometimes feel like I have to put on like a show, like I have to mentally prepare myself. It's not my natural being.
Right.
I was never the life of the party. I was never the person that walked into the room and would talk to everybody. And that I was always very like go into the room, talk who I have to talk to.
Yep.
Like I like having my time. I like having my privacy. I like having my downtime. So I'm not that extrovert, walk into the room and work the room. It's just not how I'm wired. I think one thing that people they probably do know this seeing my videos, but like one thing I'm really sincere about is I really love seeing other people win. I mean, it's such a driving factor for me. I think to be successful as a real estate broker, you can't fake that.
No.
You really want to have to see other people succeed, other people win. I always said when I first got into this is my dream is one day that I'll be sitting at an awards table and everybody else will be getting an award but me.
That's cool.
I'm like, that's what your goal should be as a broker. And, luckily we've done that. We had 70 something Circle of Excellence award winners. We've had, every award winner in the organization, teams that do Diamond Club, 7 figures in commissions, watching them succeed and hopefully playing a small part in their success is what's really important to me.
Well, that's that level 5 leadership, right?
Yeah, and you can't fake that. You want to see others do better. You always got to be looking for, when you're building a company, a real estate team, whatever it is, you always got to be looking for people who could be your replacement. And a lot of people get scared of that or intimidated, but you need to have the right talent. They need to be as strong as you, if not stronger in what they do. And you always have to be looking for your replacement, and that person has to be looking for their replacement. And that's how you can build an organization where you're not stuck in the middle of it.
Yeah, that's the one big thing I've been doing lately where if I'm hiring my weaknesses, or if either hire or download your weaknesses, right? If you're bad at something, either download an app that's good at it or hire somebody to do it for you that's better than you, because you're never going to get good at it. You got too much going on. It like focus on that.
Well, and I think, it's a great point, because I think that's where a lot of people get stuck in scaling or they plateau in their business is because they don't use leverage.
Yep.
In the real estate office, we do 3,000, anywhere from 2,500 to 3,000 transactions. If I was paying the commission checks, if I was doing all the bookkeeping, if I was doing all the events, I was answering the phones, we would never be able to grow and scale. And number one, I wouldn't be the best person to do all the bookkeeping and paying the checks. Everybody's check would be wrong and it would take 10 days to get it because it's just not my strength. Yeah. So I was really lucky to be around people who were really good at what they did to allow me to be really good at what I do.
That's awesome.
And that's what the biggest key, because I get asked a lot of times, like, how do you scale? What did you do to scale? What are you doing to scale? I said, I really double down on people who are good at what they do, and I double down on what I'm really good at. We call it our unique abilities. Yeah. Double down your unique abilities and get rid of the rest.
Yeah. Yeah. Leverage is such a great word. If I ever own a big boat, it'll be called leverage, I think. Yeah. It's so true. That's the only way you're going to get a big boat is to
leverage. Leverage, right. Right.
Leverage your finances or people.
And you can't have an ego.
No, God, no.
If someone does something better than you, that's a good thing. You can't take it personally. My job as a leader is to make people better at what they do.
Yep.
And if everybody else around me is winning, I'm going to win.
Yeah. Beginning of this year, best thing I did one of them was put up a 4x8 whiteboard, you know, and one of the first things I wrote on it was ego. I wrote a circle around it and crossed it out. Make sure every decision I make takes ego completely out of it, you know.
No, I agree.
Because it'll screw up any decision you ever made, right? If you leave that in there. So.
And listen, sometimes it's hard being a competitive,
oh my God,
person that played sports and that drive, but you also have to know when your ego to strength and when it could be your weakness.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny what you said before about like not being in your natural environment, like when you're giving speeches, because it's hard. I mean, God, I had to when I was a kindergartner, I couldn't speak, I couldn't read well, you know what I mean? So I had to stay afterwards and stuff like that. And I was listening to something the other night, and I didn't even realize this. Like whales, like most whales can only go underwater for 5 to 6 minutes. Like the biggest, most badass whale can stay down for 138 minutes. Like even a whale. Really? Has to come up for a breath of air.
Yeah. No,
isn't that crazy to think about that?
I believe it. And talk about speech problems, man. I mean, I was born with a really bad speech impediment. I didn't really speak till I was 5 or 6. I still to this day have trouble pronouncing some words. So even as we sit here and speak, I might think of saying a word, but I know I can't pronounce it. I have to say a different word.
So you back out of it.
So I back out of it, right. And people don't even realize I'm doing it, but I know I'm doing it. Yeah. And I was born cross-eyed. I wasn't supposed to play sports. So, I joke around, and when I play golf now, I see 3 golf balls. I just try to hit the one in the middle. That's sort of my golf strategy. But, everyone has challenges.
Oh my God.
Everyone has things to overcome. Right? Yeah. It's so true. Life is 90%, 10% of what happens to you, 90% how you react to it.
Yeah. One of my favorite sayings I've ever heard is if we all took our problems and threw them in a pile, we'd run in and grab our problems out of that pile so fast,
I like that. I'm going to use that.
Day,
Yeah.
We'd be like, I'm out. I'll take it back. I'm good.
Yeah. I mean, someone who was pretty inspirational in my life was Eric LeGrand. Do you know who Eric is? He played football for Rutgers.
Yes.
He was paralyzed while playing.
You had some events with him before.
Yeah, now he's the head of the Christopher Reeve Foundation. Yeah. And he was good for me because I was going through a tough time in life and business. And I heard him on Boomer and Carton at the time, I believe it was. And he was talking about how lucky he was. And it was really just like, this guy's paralyzed. And he's talking about how blessed he is.
I know.
And I'm like, the problems you're going through really aren't problems. They're just obstacles. So I changed problems to obstacles.
Yep.
And then what was great was a few years later when the business started to take off, we were actually able to pay Eric to come in and speak to our people. And I shared my story about why I wanted Eric to come in. And he just talked about, again, how lucky he was and how good he has it compared to other people who are paralyzed that he knows.
Right.
So he's like, I'm blessed. And it was just a real eye opener because everyone left that room thinking their problems are not real problems, right? And he's so inspirational. Local guy, Jersey guy from Woodbridge, played at Rutgers. It was the best person to inspire others going through tough times. And we did it in the winter market when things are tougher.
Yeah.
So just because the mindset's just so big.
Yeah, it's almost like problems and obstacles are almost or you're hurt or you're injured in baseball, right?
Right.
If you're injured, you're out. But if you're hurt, you can still, So
right.
It's
big difference between hurt and injured.
Yeah, so, yeah. So that's cool. So obviously, we're in our 40s, right? How old are you? What do you?
41.
Oh, yeah, 45 now. If you could take a time machine and go back to when you were 20 some year old, just give yourself one piece of advice. What would it be? Not that it would change anything, just that, you'd have a different,
Yeah, no, I think that's good. I think I would have invested in real estate sooner. I do a lot of real estate investing now, but I would have started even 21. I was just telling an agent today, a younger agent, I said, one of the biggest mistakes I made when I bought my first house in 2007, I bought a townhouse. I should have bought a 4-family.
Yep. Oh, I totally agree.
Which I could still own, but I went with the townhouse. I wish I learned the velocity of money younger in my 20s, how to be able to leverage money to get in real estate deals and things like that. Because I think when I really learned how money works and how to borrow it and how it's accessible.
Sure.
If I learned that when younger in my 20s, I'd be even further ahead. But that was the biggest thing. I was pretty good in my 20s. I went to college at Muhlenberg in Pennsylvania. I got a master's degree at Lehigh. But I still gave it all up to pursue real estate, which a lot of people at the time thought I was crazy. Oh, you have your dream job. Well, I was like, I realized my dream job sucks.
Oh my God. Yeah, dreams change, right?
Yeah. So I was like, wow, this is my dream job. This is like a nightmare.
Yeah.
So I'm going to decide to wake up.
Yeah.
And that's why I have trouble with colleges and stuff because I think it's hard for people between 18 and 21 to be able to decide what they want to do for the rest of their life.
It's insane.
Right. So I use college as a learning experience, a growing experience, but the education experience isn't exactly what I would hope for, but I still took a lot out of it. Yeah. But I think in the 20s, if I started investing in real estate more smart then, and it's like anything else, once you do your first one, your second one, it becomes easier. So it took a little bit longer. I was in my 30s before I started really pulling the trigger. Yeah. But, when I look back, I'm like, hey, better late than never. Yeah. Or people are in their 40s like, oh, I wish I started when I'm 20. Well, do you want to be in your 60s saying you wish you started in your 40s? So why don't you just start now? Because that's one thing I'm really passionate about is real estate investing has changed my life, my family's life. Yeah. That I want that to see others change their life. Right. Especially being realtors. We don't have pensions. We don't have 401ks. I know. But if you buy real estate and you buy it right, that's your pension. That's your 401k. That's your revenue. That's your income if sales go down. And we're in the business of buying. We're in the business of helping people buy and sell real estate. So we should be buying real estate too. I'm a big believer in that.
Goes back to leverage, right?
It goes back to leverage and, partnering with really good people. Yeah. Some people scare away from partnerships, which I get because I've had bad partnerships.
Yeah, but it's like a relationship. You don't know, you got to go through it sometimes.
Right. And I've been blessed. I've been partners with Olivier Lewis now for 6 years, and we partner together in the real estate offices as well as some investments and stuff. And, I've been able to do more having him as a partner. Yep. And I hope he would say the same. So Olivier, if you're listening to this, say the same.
Yeah, definitely. But it's funny. But think about it, from 18 to 21, you're supposed to figure out like what you're going to spend a bunch of money on and what you want to do for the rest of your life. Like you'd be better off just working like a job and like volunteering, like just like being a mentor to somebody for like 6 months here at that, 6 months there for that. So you figure out like, wow, that's really cool. Like I want to do that. And then spend your money on getting there.
The generation now has such an advantage over we have. There wasn't YouTube when I was in college, or if it was at the very beginning. There's more content on YouTube that's more valuable than any education that you're going to get.
It's insane. It's insane.
I think I was listening to Gary Vee the other day when he's like, oh, you're college. Yeah. If you want to go on a 4-year party, go ahead.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. But I just think it's a huge problem. Mark Cuban talks about it. Everybody talks about it. All these people taking all this college debt that they can't get out from under.
Yeah, they own a house. They don't have a house.
Right. You can't go bankrupt. It doesn't wash it away. Huh? And you're just stuck with this. And they were giving it to everybody. Yep. It's hard. It was harder to get. It's harder to get a loan to start a business. Than it is to get student loans.
Without a doubt, you could have a business for 10 years, killing it, whatever. Go to get an SBA loan, or like, nah, like, what are you talking about? It's crazy.
And I think it's really good. If you're younger, and you're looking to start a business, guidance. I mean, there's so many resources out there, like small business development centers at universities and stuff that could really guide you. But I mean, just getting a mentor is valuable.
That's what I was gonna say. Just grabbing just looking. Just shadowing somebody for a little while to figure out whether you like to do that or you don't like doing that,
And I love talking to, agents at any age, but some younger agents, because when I got in the business, I was 25 years old and I was the only 25-year-old in the business. I was maybe one of 2 or 3.
I was 23. Yeah. I call myself the Eminem of real estate, man. Like I literally was it was me and Jeremy McCann, whose mother actually owned, office where we were just at before we moved over.
Got it.
That was it. That was the only, and he was a big guy. I'm like, if this meathead can sell real estate, I can sell real estate,
Yeah. And I remember too, I was one of 2 young agents and we were both doing pretty well. And the other young agent would close a property and go on a vacation to Jamaica. You wouldn't see him for 3 weeks. Yeah. I would get a closing and go, okay, how do I get 10 more? Yep. How do I get 15 more? Yep. I was like, I don't want to go on vacation. I want to double down and do more. And listen, I'm not even saying my mentality is right. Everyone's got different strokes for different folks, but I was just always so driven and it's always so scale oriented. Like I had my first closing. I enjoyed my first closing for 30 seconds. I got the check and went in my account. I was so excited, but my first thought was, oh shit, where's my next closing?
Yeah. Yeah. Right? Well, it is that kind of business. It is like an, oh shit, what's next business,
Yeah. If I don't have, I like having a pipeline. I like, I'm big on prospecting all the time. I think it's just, I always say, put me in any sales industry. Like I'll succeed because I know how to lead generate.
Yeah.
And I'm not afraid to lead generate.
Yeah.
And we were talking about this today. Jared James in Vegas was saying, it's not about It's about visibility, not ability.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Visibility over ability. And obviously you still have to have the ability
Sure.
to do a good job. But if you do such a great job and nobody knows how good of a job you do and they don't work with you, what does it mean?
Right.
Especially in the market that we're going into is, a lot of people, I talk about the fight or flight mentality where things get hard. A lot of people flight, they retreat. This is the time that you have to fight. You have to double down on your visibility. You have to be out in front of social media. Because 2 years ago, every realtor was out in front of social media. Like they were the best realtor in the world, right? We had record numbers of transaction, high prices. A lot of people were making a lot of money. But what happens is that when things change, a lot of people start feeling a little insecure. They flight.
Yeah. Yeah. If I saw one more open house video with a line down the street, I was like, this is just ridiculous. Yeah. Can we stop posting these things?
Yeah. So I've been really preaching about doubling down on your content, getting out there more. I mean, we're trying to commit to a couple reels a week, couple videos a week. A couple posts a week, whatever it might be, just so we stay out in front. So when everybody else is retreating, we're moving forward.
Yeah, I think it's so important. I know we talk about it a lot. Is like switching up the content too. Like, having being intentional about this video, intentional about that video, because it really is. It matters, because, people put out just like these random like things. You're like that. There's no value to that. You know what I mean? So,
right.
So you really have to be intentional about your post too, I think.
And the worst thing that people could do right now when things change is freeze.
Oh God.
You freeze, you're dead.
Yeah. Either growing or dying.
Either growing or dying. You got to keep on moving.
Yeah. So that's awesome. So what's one thing you would want to ask or promise a 50-year-old version of yourself? Like if you could, like today, be like, I'm going to do this. Or if I could get a little ahead of something, what would you ask that guy? It's like,
what I think I would ask my 50-year-old is like, hey, did you lay it all out? Did you go for it? Yep. Did you not... did you act with intention and not being scared?
Yep.
And as long as you laid it all out on the table and you went for it and you did the right thing, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
So I would ask my 50-year-old self. That's a great question. Everyone always asks you what you'd say in the past, not in the future. Yeah. But if I was going to talk to myself at 50, like, did you lay it out on the line? Did you set a good example for your kids? Are you able to show them a path of what they should be doing? Are you leading by example and not just by fluff?
Yeah. I was thinking about it when I said mine would be like, are you happy? Because did you work your ass off? Did you take time to smell the roses? It sounds corny, but true.
Right. To enjoy things.
Yeah. Or did you just get somewhere, achieve your goals, and you're like, man, this sucks. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I even try not to use the word goals. I try to use the word milestones because what happens is sometimes you hit a goal and you're like, oh, that's it. Yep. You're like, that wasn't even, that's it. Yep. He told me I get to this point, life would be this, and this is where I'm at.
Exactly.
So I just like to call it milestones because you're just building upon it and upon it. I mean, I remember too, at one point, I was on a cruise ship with my in-laws, and I was reading this book, The 4 Disciplines of Execution. It's a book I recommend out a lot. And I'm like, all right, if I could I want to scale the business to like 250 agents. And then once I could get to 250 agents, this is sort of what it will look like, and I'll be happy. So then I hit 250 agents. I'm like, well, all right, you hit your goal. Are you really done? And I'm like, no. So he kept scaling. So sometimes goals can hurt. And, I share the story, Kendall, she's been with me from the beginning. When we had 8 agents, I said, all right, we just got to get to 25. We get to 25. We used to say, all right, on the road to, so we used to end meetings. I used to go on the road to 50. We just got to get to 50. We got to 50. I'm like, on the road to 100. We just got to get 100. And then finally we hit 100. And Kendall just looks at me. She's like, I don't even want to know what the next number is.
That's it.
I'm like, 250.
I know. Jen says it all the time. She's like, you're always like, well, when this, when that. And it's true. And that's why I said myself, I'd want to be where are you happy? You know what I mean? Because you don't want to keep doing that. And then you just did that and you're not happy. You know what I mean? So try to enjoy it along the way too. Because, just from ripping your kitchen out, doing okay, that's next. It's like just the crazy stuff we do to ourselves. I do to myself. I know you do it to yourself too. So.
Well, I'm not ripping out any kitchens though, Charlie. I draw the line there. Nobody wants me doing any work on their house. Well, that was just demo.
I ain't put it. That was just tequila, and I don't like where the hallway was anymore, And it looks a lot better where it is now. So. All right. So I always think of this. What would be your if you could go out to dinner with like a table of 6, you being one of them? What's your +5? Like who would you want to be there?
Wow.
From the past, present.
That's a really good question. My dad.
Okay.
He's still with us. That's He's awesome. One of my best friends.
Yeah, that's awesome. He's
been a huge impact on my life. Wow, Charlie, this is a good question. Right. Who would I want on my dinner table? I would want my wife Jen to be there because she's been one of the best sounding boards of my life. She's probably talked me out of doing some things where she was right, and reassured me to do some things when I was on the fence so that she was right. So I always really trust her opinion. So I'd want her there. You're talking about the only 5 people in the world.
It could be anybody. Yeah, I'm inspirational, like whatever. It doesn't matter.
So that's a really good. You know, this is gonna sound weird. I used to work this job at a golf course. I drove the beverage cart, and this guy's name was Nick Delarado, and I just remember I worked a lot of long hours with him, and he just like would tell me stories and give me advice. I don't even know if he's around today or where he's at, but I would want him at that table just because he doesn't know the impact he made on my life.
Not funny, yeah.
But I would want him there just because of the memories and everything that he brought. You know, I definitely would. If I could only pick 5 people, man, I would want my kids there because they're just such an inspiration.
That's awesome.
You know, like anything else, they're at those ages, they could drive me nuts. But they also are just such a huge motivation in my life when I look at them, that I want to be able to give them and provide them things that I didn't have when I grew up. So I would want, you know, my dad, my kids, my wife, and Nick Delarado.
There you go.
That would be my 5.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that would be my 5.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's very cool. So, so it might be Nick. I don't know. The next one is the best thing anyone has ever said to you that still sticks with you to this day.
The best thing someone said to me that still sticks with me today. I had a mentor that told me to always enjoy the journey. Okay. And it just kind of stuck with me. You know, I could be very serious and I could be very intense. And then 2 minutes later, I could be very like joking around. And it probably with some people I work with, they're probably like, they don't know what Carl they're going to get. So
which Carl showing up today?
Yeah. Or which Carl is going to be compared from the morning to the afternoon. Yeah. Because I'll be intense when I have to, and when things need to get done. But when I can enjoy it, I'm going to also enjoy it. So I had a mentor that told me that, and you know, really enjoy the journey, and I do, and I like to reflect back on it. You got some good questions, Charlie. Yeah, I've been on a lot of podcasts. These are 2 questions I never got to ask before. I like those.
Well, this one's pretty good too, I think. So, well, actually, yeah. All right, yeah. Well, I know the answer to another one, but what lights your inner fire? Like not in a good way. Like what fires you up that gets you angry, but you get good stuff out of it. Like, you know what I mean? Like what's something that someone's done to you or said to you that you like? Because when it happens to me, I'm always like, that's cool. Now it's on. You know what I mean? Like
someone telling me I can't.
Yes. Yeah.
That's not realistic. You gotta reel it in, or there's no way you can grow a brokerage that big, or there's no way you could scale a PM company that fast, or just that, you know. And I never react to somebody saying it because everyone always. A lot of people get surprised when they really get to know like how driven and fierce I could be, because I'm always very respectful. Like, oh, thank you, or you know, I never thought you would have got to this spot. So that really drives me. Like I was never the best wrestler, but I wouldn't quit. Yeah, you know, I had that attitude of like I'll die on the stake before I give up. So anyone telling me I really can't do anything or that's a crazy goal kind of just feeds me. And I've done a lot of stuff that didn't work. So I'm also not afraid to fail. Yeah. Because a lot of things I've tried, even the bit that we tried to roll out, just didn't really work. And then some other stuff we've done has worked massively. So I'm not afraid to try and fail. Or I think a lot of people, I always think, what's the worst case scenario? If I start this and it doesn't work, I'll lose some money. Yeah. But can I earn more? Right. Like, you know, so that's something that really drives me is the power of no. People telling me I can't do it. Yeah. And I'll tell a story. I'm not going to say any names. When I started the brokerage, there was another broker who basically just said he doesn't know what he's doing. He's going to be out of business. Just really talked bad. And I don't like to talk bad about my competitors because it's just business. But it always stuck with me. And I just remember telling Jen, my wife, like, I'm going to make them pay for that comment. Yeah. I was like, they could say whatever they want. I'm going to run circles around them and they're not even going to know it hit them. Yeah. And I would keep a picture of the broker around, which was a little weird. Yeah. But that was my motivation. Yeah. To just prove them wrong. Yeah. Mine's down disrespect. Yeah. So when I was like, I was in the police academy. It wasn't for me.
So I had to like crawl back to PetSmart and like be like, oh, you know, can I get my job back? They were like, yeah, you can get it back. You can be the manager now, which they wanted me to be like for 6 years. I'm like, shit, man, I got to go do this now because I've never been unemployed for more than 2 days. So I'm like, all right, I'll take it, you know. So while I was doing that, you know, I'd got my real estate license and everything changed. And all the guys that were your boys, the managers were like, what's he doing? Because I'd be in the bathroom making phone calls. That was my office, literally the bathroom in PetSmart, like, you know. And the one thing this guy that was my boy for a while, he was like, I heard he said to me about me, he's like, he doesn't have the follow to be in real estate. And I was like, well, now I fucking do, bro.
Yeah. Now I'm the follow-up king.
You know, yeah, exactly. Like,
but dude, I love that story, man. I love seeing people like that story. It's like some people didn't say, well, I wasn't successful in real estate because I worked at PetSmart, right? The successful people figure it out.
The reason I made sure that everyone that came to see me to get their dog food knew that I was real estate.
Right.
And the first 3 houses I sold was the old lady's, you know, the one who came in to see me her father's house. And
I never knew that. I love that story.
It's insane.
I love that.
Isn't it funny that what motivated you the most and what pissed you off the most, those people probably have no idea.
No,
right?
No clue.
So the guy that you look up to doesn't know, and then the guy that pissed you off, he probably doesn't know.
They have no.
But they still got you where you are, you know.
And it still motivates me.
Yeah.
Like I'm just as motivated today as I was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think motivation is something you turn on and you're either motivated or you're not.
Yeah, it's not a faucet there for sure. No, you either have it in you.
At least not for me. I don't know how to turn it off. When sometimes I actually wish I could turn it off, but you know, because I don't want to also be completely disconnected with my family.
Yeah.
So it is a struggle sometimes when I have something on my brain, but I'm also trying to have quality time with my kids and things like that. Yeah. So it's a real balancing act.
Oh, it's horrible. It's an ultimate balancing act. So I love this one. This is, I think you might have answered it before, but so when did you realize you weren't like the other boys and girls? You know what I mean? Like that drive inside you, you know, like when you were like, okay, you know, it's like when I go to a restaurant and I'll watch everyone watching football and they're like, yeah, and they got the jerseys on, they know every stat. And I'm like, I look at that, I'm like, man, I'm kind of jealous of that, but it's not me, man. But while I'm doing that, I got the napkin sketched over and I'm like, oh, this would be a great idea. Like, and I'm already thinking about, you know what I mean? Like,
I think it really hit me in when I started real estate.
Yeah.
I don't think I realized until I got into real estate, maybe because it was who I was around or whatever else, but I wasn't the best athlete. I wasn't the best student. I really wasn't the best at anything. Yep. But I just kind of grinded and I worked hard. So I don't know. I think when I got into real estate, I really saw that I had extra gears that other people didn't, that made me propel and be successful that I didn't even realize I had. Yeah. So it was really real estate and being in a group. And I just saw that how driven I was. And I worked for 8 months without a paycheck, living at my parents'. I had a credit card with 0% interest that I lived off of. I was a guy that I'd go out to eat with my friends and I put it on the credit card. I would tell them to give me the cash. I'd pay the minimum, you know, then I eventually paid it off.
And that was before Venmo because nobody would even get it to you.
No,
I'll get you next time.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
These kids don't know our struggle.
They don't, yeah. So I leveraged that. I gave myself a loan.
Yeah.
At 0% interest. And I said, if I can't pay this off in a year, I'm going to go out and get a real job. Yeah. And my first full year in real estate, I did $350,000 in commission. That's awesome. So, but I worked for 8 months without a check. Got lucky.
And that's like, people hear it now and be like, oh, that's good. But that's when houses were a lot lower. That's what, you know what I mean? Like, think about that. Think about that from that mindset.
I did $15 million in sales volume. Yeah. I was like the top producer.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, there wasn't many people that were doing that much business. Yeah. You know, I did a lot of units. So it was just, that's when I really realized I kind of had that drive. And then when I started the brokerage, we started off slow and I kind of doubted myself. Yeah. And then we turned it around and, you know, we were able to grow and we worked. So I think that kind of changed my mindset of like, hey, sales wise, like if I could accomplish a lot if I just put my mind to it and really just drive that. And some people can't handle that.
Right.
Some people can't work with me. Some people think it's too much, but, and I get that, you know, and I'm not trying to be, the round peg for everybody's circle or the square peg for everybody. I get that. We're not the right company for everybody. Sure. I'm not the right leader for everybody. But I just know too, is like if you work with me, I'm going to lead by example. Yeah. You're never going to look at me and be like, wow, I just outwork Carl. Like you're not going to outwork me.
Yeah.
You know, there's calls I'll get and sacrifices I make that other people I know won't make.
Yeah.
And then they ask why I'm in the position I am and then what position they are. And I don't say anything. I say, just get lucky.
Mm-hmm.
But I made a lot of sacrifices.
Oh, hell yeah.
My circle's changed a lot over the last 10 years of friends and whatever else, because as you grow, your friends who you think are going to be happy for you really are not. They're jealous. Right. Or, they try to troll you, and then you realize the joking turns into serious.
Yeah.
And you have to change your circle of friends. And my sphere became a lot smaller because of that, which I was just telling someone the story the other day, and I'm okay with that. But like, I know that if you put me against somebody, I will outwork them.
Mm-hmm. Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah.
So to that point, it's funny, I'm gonna skip this, but so what's one of your favorite quotes or sermons that you fall back on when things get tough? Because like, I know I have one. My favorite is like, one of them is when Steve Harvey talks about the rocket ship, man. You ever hear that one?
No.
Where he's talking, ever watch a rocket ship take off? It's got the fuels a tank, and once it gets to a certain level, it dumps off the one tank, and when it gets to the next level, it dumps off the other tank. And not because those tanks weren't needed, they just were no longer useful in your life.
Right.
So they got you to that level, and they got to go. Then the other one gets you to that next level, and it's got to go. So you can get in your orbit.
I like that.
So that's one of my favorites. But
I'm pretty big. I like saying, and I tell us a lot. I was telling an agent earlier, just get attached to your process, not the immediate result. Mm-hmm. We're such an instant gratification society that you got to put the work in, and you got to be consistent, and the consistency is going to win. I was listening to a podcast with David Goggins and Joe Rogan. They were talking about UFC fighters, and sometimes talent could be the downfall of people because they rely on that talent, that they're just not a grinder and they don't work hard. So I like to fall back on like, okay, you're going through a rough period. Just double down on what you do. Don't go crazy. Don't go look for the newest, latest and greatest technology or something that's going to bail you out of it. Put your head down, do your process, and grind it out.
Yeah. Hustle and mindset kicks talent's ass
every time. Every time.
I would bet on that every time.
Every time. Every time. And you see it. Some agents that are big agents, right away, you don't think they might be a big agent. But it's just that mentality. It's that, like, I think I have that sixth gear when I need it. So when times get tough, I don't mind putting in the work. Yep. If I'm up at 6 a.m. working at night, like, I don't mind.
Yeah, because I don't consider what I do work. Like, I'm just doing what I do, So when people say work, they have such a different mindset, like a 9 to 5 person,
And I never had the 9 to 5 mentality, even when I had a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
I'm just in it. I enjoy working. It's obviously a big part of my life. But when times get tough, you either fight or flight. And I just have that fight mentality, I think, which I don't know if I always had. I think I always had a little piece of it, but I think as I've gotten older, it's come out of me even more.
Yeah.
That I'm not afraid to take on challenges. I'm not afraid there's always gonna be someone trying to knock you down. But, I have goals, and nothing's gonna stop me to hit those goals or milestones. So I think that's what's just really my mentality is, like, I don't mind outworking. I can't make the Zoom attack. Like, I'll be on it. Like, I'll make it work, because I'm so lockjaw on what I want to do that nothing's going to stop me.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. So, I just read this book the other day, Good to Great, so, actually, no, it's not another one, but, so what's your big, hairy, audacious goal? Now we're talking about goals. Like, what is that? Like, what does that look like? What's the biggest, when you look at your goals or what you think you want to do, what's the biggest version of that where you're just like, if this happens, I'd be like, I did it all.
I think I personally want to scale to 1,000 rental units.
Okay.
I think that's my big, like, if I did that, I'd be like, wow. That's a lot. It's a lot of units. It's kind of a goal I wanted, create that passive income, create that generational wealth. Yeah. So my goal is to get to 1,000 rental units. Awesome. No means by there yet.
Yeah.
But I also have a plan on how to get there in the next 5 to 10 years. So I'm pretty confident I will. Yeah. And again, just learning from people who have already done it. Even like we started a property management company last year and starting to scale at a rapid pace. And people are like, man, Carl, how'd you get that to scale at such a rapid pace? And I don't even talk about it that much. Yeah. But man, I got 2 people on my cell phone who have 1,000 doors under management and 4,000 doors under management. I have a question and they're my personal friends now. I can reach out to them. I'm not bothering them. Dude, I want to be around people who could cut down my learning curve.
Yeah.
And I want people who are surrounded by me that I can help cut down their learning curve. So people hearing me saying, I want to own 1,000 units, like, wow, that's crazy. I don't even own one unit, but it's like, buy a unit. Like, don't get stuck in paralysis analysis. Yeah. Just buy your first rental, buy a 2-family, do what you have to do to purchase that. Because once you buy one, especially what I love about property management, it allows you to scale. Because when you're not stuck in the day-to-day of managing the properties, it's easier to add more units on.
Right, when someone's not calling you about their leaky, whatever. You're like, I don't care. Whatever.
And what people don't realize is when you have more units and more cash flow, it's actually easier to get more money from banks.
Of course, yeah.
So a lot of people a lot of people get like, well, how do I scale? The money's there if you have a proven track record and you have results. Yeah. We do some fix and flips. And I was telling the story the other day, the reason we get some fix and flips brought to us off market is because your reputation's everything. People will bring me deals because if I say I'm going to close on the property, I'm going to close on the property. I'm not going to string people along, or if I'm dealing with a wholesaler, I'm not going to try to cut into his profit or her profit. Yeah. As long as I'm getting it for the number I want. I was just having this conversation with a wholesaler the other day because they brought me a deal and said this has to get closed in 5 days, and it was a really good deal, so we closed on the deal in 5 days.
Sure. And
he was a nervous wreck the entire time, but we just did it. So just do what you're going to say you're going to do and have that goal. But my goal is to get to 1,000 units. Property management, I want to get 3,000 doors under management. With the real estate brokerage, I want to get to at least 500 agents. And those are really my big goals.
That's awesome. And that's all I'm going to do is get around better people, man. I said this year, better rooms and better Zooms, man. I want to be in better rooms. I want to be on better Zooms. It doesn't mean like, if we hang out, not that, you know what I mean? But like, I just want to surround myself by better people, that already did it and are doing it.
Yeah, I mean, it's the quickest way to cut your learning curve. Right. Yeah. Like I said, I had an issue yesterday. And there's real estate brokers I know who have 3,000 agents, and if I have an issue or how to deal with something, and I could just shoot them a text. And the reason I'm able to have those contacts is, I provided them value too along the way. Yeah. It wasn't just give me. Course, it's building a relationship, becoming friends with people. Even if you pay them for consulting and you become friends, I don't mind paying for people who are going to help cut down my learning curve. Yeah. It's a good investment.
Yeah, it sure is. It's awesome, man. All right, one more off the wall one. What's something that you're not good at, you're almost awful at, but you wish you were like excellent at it?
Golf.
Okay, cool. That's
110%.
Yeah, mine would be like guitar. I love to play guitar, but I just don't have the fingers or the patience or whatever.
Golf's one of the most frustrating things that I love doing that, I'm not that good at. And when I see people who are really good at it, like I'm in awe
of it, right?
Like you see someone just hit like a perfect shot or a perfect drive. And I play with people who are really good because I think it makes me better, like anything else. But that's such an easy question for me to answer.
Yeah, you didn't have to think about that. And I did not text him that earlier.
Yeah. And I think what it is with golf, I didn't really get into it until the pandemic. Yeah. Because it was great. Like during the pandemic, go outside, you could play. I was like, oh, you could drink, so you could gamble. I was like, this is a good sport for me. So I really got into it. But I'm not good. But again, it's just another challenge. And what's funny, one of my buddies is really good. And we were playing the other day, it was last year. I was playing decent for me. And he looks at me, he goes, man, I give you a lot of credit. I was like, why? This is a guy who shoots in the 70s. He goes, you were atrocious for a long time. He's like, it was embarrassing playing with you. He's like, but you stuck. You just showed back up. I would text you, like, you want to play? You're like, yep. You want to play? Yep. You want to play? Yep. He goes, you showed up every time. And you just got better. Yep. He's like, most people would have quit with how bad you were. I was like, well, I'm not most people. I
said something the other day. Like, you can't do the right thing wrong for too long, right? Like, think about that. Like, you keep showing up, keep doing the right thing. It's going to eventually work. It's going to click. It's impossible to do the right thing wrong for too long.
I agree. Yeah. I agree. And when he said that to me, it was really like a light bulb moment. I was like, well, I guess that's my life. I was like, I'm not naturally that good at anything, but you punch me, I fall down, I'll get back up. I embarrass myself on a golf course, and golf's a sport. I mean, there's a lot of people who love to like bust chops if you're not good or whatever, but I would just block it out and just show back up, and to a point where, now I can at least hang. Yeah. I'm not incredibly embarrassing myself.
Yeah, I haven't played in a while, but I was always happy if I could get through all these 18 holes at one ball, the same ball from start to finish.
That's a big accomplishment.
Isn't it? Right?
That's a big accomplishment.
I didn't realize how big that was till I played a few, rounds. I'm like, man, I think I started with the same ball.
It's a great feeling, right? I'm the guy that says, "Oh, I've been playing with the same ball the whole round," and the next shot, boom, into the woods, and I can't find it.
I would never say it out loud until we left. On the 19th hole, I would mention it. But
so that's something that I wish I was better. And for me too, is golf's really helped me. Golf's one of the few things I could do where I can shut it out. Mm-hmm. When I'm playing, I think because it takes so much for me to hit good shots, I'm not worrying about work.
Yeah, you're laser focused on that and you're enjoying it.
It's an escape. I could leave my phone in the bag for 4 hours, not worry about anything, not worry about any fires or emergencies, and just really enjoy hanging out with my friends, being outside, and just enjoying the environment. So I think that's what I really love about golf. Plus, you can be competitive with yourself.
Yeah.
You're always competing against yourself. And I was a wrestler, team sport, but you're out there on your own. Yeah. You can't hide.
Yeah.
Same thing in golf. You can't hide, man. You hit a bad shot, everyone's going to see it. In wrestling, if you get whooped, everybody's going to see it. You can play football and get pancaked as a lineman and kind of get away with it, right? Yeah. Because no harm, no foul. Quarterback doesn't get sacked. Yeah. He gets rid of the ball. You were on the side. Nobody even saw it, but you got put on your ass.
Yeah, well, it's like dilution, right? Like, it didn't really matter.
But in sports like golf and wrestling, which was my favorite sport, man, you can't run and hide.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's why you're so good at what we do, and what you do. Yeah. There's no running and hiding. It's you all day, So.
Even in golf, man, you take that first tee shot, everybody's looking at you, laser focused on your group. There's nowhere to hide.
Yeah. You go first, you want to go last?
I don't want to go half the time. I want everyone to look away. I'll go wherever, but it's helped me a lot.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome. So what do we have next week? We have the agent panel, right? Next
we have a top agent panel. We have 3 agents who combined to over $3 million in commissions.
That's awesome.
Cool part is they're all.
I like that you were like $3 million in commission. Like,
not volume, not volume.
Read that again.
Exactly. Just real people who are doing it at a high level who I consider friends. So for me, it's fun too. I get to hang out with my friends. I get to ask some questions. They get to share with all the agents. So it's it's my favorite event of the year. And we used to do it once a year. Yeah. But after the last top agent panel, I'm like, why are we only doing this once a year? Yeah. We can't do this monthly, but if we do it once every 6 months, I think it just brings massive value to the community.
Without a doubt. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
So Charlie, I'm going to ask you real quick. I know it's your podcast, so I'm just going to steal it for a second.
We're just hanging out, man.
What's your 5 at your table?
Wow. Yeah. Funny, I've asked the question, but I never really thought about it. I would want my father. Yeah. He hasn't been around for a long time, so it'd be nice to, do that. I just like being around really motivational people. So like, I go right to I don't know, like Shaq, you know what I mean? He's just so awesome. What a great guy. What a business owner. He took something he did and he's just amazing. Took it to the next level. And he's cool as shit. Yeah. One of my buddies was the captain on a boat he was on for 8 days. He said he was the coolest guy you ever met.
Really?
Coolest guy. Massive guy. Just massive in life, massive in everything, So yeah, my dad, Shaq. God, who else, right?
You Kobe or Jordan guy?
I really don't know enough about it. It's so funny. I'm not a sports guy like that where I would know who's even better, to negotiate who was the greatest of all time, was the GOAT or whatever. I think Kobe was much more likable, right? Jordan, I've seen his documentary. He was definitely a jerk, but he outworked everybody too, So 3 more. I got to go 3 more. John Oswald. That's one of the guys that owned. He owned Oswald Enterprises. Sewer company. When I was a kid, we owned a deli. I grew up every day talking to these guys at 8 years old, 9 years old. These guys were local business owners, just sitting out like this. They treat me like I was an adult. And I was like, how do these guys get to just chill? And their businesses are working. And meanwhile, we're at a deli. My father owned it. We had to be there 7 days a week. Vacation, stop back there, make sure the coffee maker's on at 4 a.m. You couldn't get away from it. So I always knew I didn't want to own a brick and mortar,
Right.
That's why real estate really appealed to me. So yeah, I'd love to have him at the table. Who else? Dave Chappelle. I'd love to hang with Dave Chappelle, man.
Maybe some table.
Yeah, I know. It's getting weird, right?
It's your table, man.
Yeah. And one more. Oh man. Hmm. That's a really good question. I've asked it, but I don't know the answer to the fifth one. Yeah, I'll have to think about it.
Yeah, you got to get back to us.
I'll send it. I'll send the last part of this.
You got to let the people know.
Yeah. So
that's a great question, though. I'm going to ask people that question.
Yeah, and I guess it changes where you're at during that that day in your life or whatever. So
yeah,
but
well, I remember in college, I worked at a cell phone store, and it was pretty. I thought it was a cool job in college selling cell phones.
Yeah.
So I interviewed there, and the guy says, who's your idols? I said, do you really want to know? I was like, yeah. I was like, a lot of people will say athletes and people they never met. I said, that's bullshit. And he was like, and he looked at me like, did he just say bullshit on an interview? I said, none of those guys ever did anything for me.
Right.
I was like, my parents sacrificed. My dad drove 45 minutes a day to commute to work, up to an hour. He went to night school to get better degrees, to get better jobs, to provide for me and my brother. My mom made a lot of sacrifices.
Okay.
I was like, so all these people who say all these athletes, like Michael Jordan never did anything for me. He wouldn't know who I was. He doesn't care if I'm here today or gone tomorrow.
Sure.
I said, but my parents are sacrificed for me, and they showed me through leadership and hard work what you could do in life.
Yeah.
And I said, I didn't grow up with a lot of money. I wasn't a trust fund baby, but just showing how they worked. I mean, I think that's where I get my work ethic from, was how hard both my parents worked.
Sure.
So I guess I have to put my mom at the table.
You know what?
I got to put a 6
too. Yeah, because when you think about it, and the funny part about my dad lost, it's coming up on 20 years. But when I was like 7 or 8 years old, he was a mass. That's kind of, if you go to the backstory on soul.com, it's the pictures there. He was like the man when it came to Lionel trains, fix them, buy them, sell them. We knew everything about them, like inside and out. What serial number? Like he was the guy. But he would always advertise on the back of his truck. He had on the back of his green van painted, "Wanted Lionel train 732-787-5024." Actually, that was when it was 908. That's how long ago it was. So I would watch, people come up to my father and be like, "Oh, my grandmother has, trains or whatever." And as a kid, I would watch people just approach him because he was good at what he did, and he was promoting what he does, So just by default, after I got into real estate, I was like, well, of course, I'm going to strap Mr. Middletown
to the back of the truck,
on the back of my brand new BMW.
Right.
And people were like, "Who does he think he is?" I would literally go to an open house, and all the ladies would be like, "Hey, how you doing?" And I'd go upstairs. I'm up in the bedroom, and I'd watch him out by the back of my car, going, "Who the fuck does he think he is?" Yeah, you know what I mean? Like they were mad about it, and I would watch them and I'd be like, "That's cool," because if they're talking about it,
right, that means everybody else is talking about it.
And so they're not going, they're going,
"Oh, it's Mr. Middleton."
Yeah, you know what I mean? So yeah, it was just a natural thing to do because he did that and I watched it. So, but it takes a long time to put that all together,
Right.
So it's like, so yeah, it'd be cool to say, thanks, bro,
Yeah.
Thanks for he's the original back hustle,
That's great. That's a great story.
Yeah. So, but yeah, well, I just want to thank you, bro, for back in my hustle in real estate and back in this hustle, and and just giving me the opportunity to try to go after my big, hairy, audacious dreams, because I know I couldn't do it where I was at.
Yeah.
And I think I know I can do it here.
That's awesome.
And just the fact that the marketing department of things you guys offer, just like, look, we're doing this right now, right?
Right.
Like I wanted to do a bunch of series and stuff last year. I would have had to pay $3,000 for this situation. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
To have somebody come out and all that stuff. So, so if anyone's out there and they want to do crazy stuff in their marketing department and they aren't happy where they're at, I think where you need to come interview, because we got it down pat here.
I appreciate that.
It's pretty awesome. But yeah, so thank you for that. And only way you get one of these is by coming on the show and backing my hustle. So
that's great.
So,
I love it.
Yeah.
Thanks, bro. I really appreciate it. It was fun doing it. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome, man. And this is where I put my Remax hat back on too.
Yeah, it is.
In the infamous video.
It is. And then now we just got to get back to talking old Seinfeld episodes.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah.
Well, thanks again, Charlie. I appreciate you having me on.
Thank you, bro. Thank you for having me. Yeah, thanks for having me here and having me at Remax. That's awesome, man. Thank you.
Thanks for the hat, man.
Yeah, it's cool. I appreciate it.